जय भारत। वेलकम टू डेफ टॉक्स क्लिप्स बाय आदि अचिंत। जैसे ही आपने मेरे बड़े चैनल जो डेफ टॉक्स बाय आदि है उसको आपने जिस तरह से सपोर्ट करा, उसी तरह से ये हमारे क्लिप्स के चैनल को, जहां पर आपको छोटे छोटे अपडेट्स, छोटे छोटे शॉर्ट्स और छोटी छोटी कहानियां मिलेंगी, इसी को भी सपोर्ट जरूर कीजिएगा। लाइक का बटन जरूर दबाइए, सब्सक्राइब तो ऑब्वियसली करिए, बेल आइकॉन दबाना बिल्कुल मत भूलिएगा। एंड हाँ जी, प्लीज अपने दोस्तों के साथ, फैमिलीज के साथ ये वीडियोस जरूर शेयर करिएगा। एंजॉय करिए ये क्लिप को। जय हिंद। नॉन वायलेंट regime change.
I do not. But
Okay, so there's
just
an Albert Einstein Institute, okay, in New York, which
are you
specializes in
serious?
regime change. Yeah, yeah, and it's headed by a guy called Gene Sharp, who's written a book called 198 Methods of Non-Violent Regime Change.
यार ये कोई ये होगा आउटलायर होगा.
No, 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 no. You read. I'll send you the Gene Sharp का books. You see, मतलब ये जो protest है ना, वो step 1, 2, 3, 4 देखते हैं and they just follow that. ठीक है?
Damn.
And इसका एक अफिलिएट है जिसका नाम है महात्मा गांधी इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ regime चेंज इन रॉचेस्टर, न्यूयॉर्क।
Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Regime Change. Are you kidding?
नॉन वायलेंस इन दिस थिंग, सो या इट्स देयर।
What the hell? Dude, this is actually real.
या आई एम नॉट जोकिंग विद यू यार, मैं कुछ क्यों
What the
बोलूंगा आपको
hell?
ऐसे।
यार कौन ऐसे चलाता है यार? It's like starting up the Joseph Stalin Institute for Human Rights and
व्हाट डज
the
एल्बर्ट आइंस्टाइन हैव टू डू विद regimes? प्लीज टेल मी दिस।
I don't. It's all relative. I think that's what it means.
मैं
Relativity.
आपको I'll send you the book after the show. I'll send you the books. Gene Sharp
Uh,
is the guy who's written, and आप ये protest देखो।
Amazing.
ट्रस्ट मी, स्टेप 1, स्टेप 2, स्टेप 3, स्टेप 4, स्टेप 5, पूरा प्रिंट पोस्टर्स, प्रिंट फ्लायर्स, प्रिंट दिस, प्रिंट दैट, सब कुछ लिखा है उसके अंदर। सो आई
Chaman
लाफ व्हेनेवर देयर इज अ प्रोटेस्ट। ये है। एनीवेज,
Amazing.
the fact that we established there is a you know a game here. What do you think is the game behind this whole Iran nonsense? Is Iran next?
No, I think Iran is too complex a problem. See, regime change can work in some places, but in places
Hmm.
that are too big, like Iran, you actually need physical intervention. So I think what you're
That's
going
the
to
question.
see is, yeah, what you're going to see is a whole load of uh, terror attacks happen in Iran, targeting regime and regime targets. This bomb blast that happened at Qasem Soleimani's grave on his death anniversary. I think you're going to see a lot more of things like that. I think you're going to see assassination attempts on the leadership.
Hmm.
Um, you're going to see actual assassination. Some of those attempts will succeed. So you'll see a whole load of that happening. You might see bombs go off at IRGC headquarters and things like that. So let's see.
Wow.
But Israel's not going to take this lying down. Let's be clear about it. They're not going to let Iran get away with it.
What about China? I mean, why is everybody quiet about China's involvement with all this? Weapons, communication equipment, the whole border defense equipment which is there in Israel has been bought by them, which incidentally was only programmed to look base, not on the top,
Yeah. Uh,
right?
well,
Why
look,
nobody's calling them out?
nobody will name China for the same reason nobody wants to call out China for illegal nuclear proliferation and things like that. Remember, China knew exactly what the AQ Khan network was doing. Did they stop him? They
Hmm.
actually used him as a conduit for, in fact, he was created by the Chinese because in that program where North Korea, Iran, and Pakistan were meant to synchronize their ballistic missile and their
Yeah.
nuclear weapons program, it was all masterminded from Beijing, but nobody called out Beijing, nobody punished Beijing, right? It's just China is too big and the decision makers are too corrupt and they all have business interests in China that they will never call out China. It's just not going to happen. You can literally prove that every single rocket came from China. It did not. They're all local. But assume, even
The
if it
pipes
did,
did.
Some of the pipes did. Most of them were stolen water pipes and shit like that, ordinary PVC pipes and things, which is still an innocent explanation. You see, guidance mechanisms, shoulder-fired missiles coming from China, not so easy to explain. Uh, so you see, this is let's see what happens. China will be punished very differently. The Israelis do want to punish China. Thing is, look at the size comparison. Israel kahan hai, China kahan hai. They will do other things. They will be very strict denial. The only source of comprehensive Western technology for China was which China has itself burnt the bridge for. So Israel is not going to be selling anything worthwhile to China anymore, and they're already stopped. I guess a lot of the peak that China felt was precisely because of that, because it's very clear that the J10 is in fact a copy of the LAVI.
Lavi.
Same platform, same uh, mission profiles, etc., etc. So there was, and even the this thing that got cancelled, the Harpi upgrade that got cancelled, and the AVAX upgradation that got cancelled, and things like that. They're still very upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see क्या होता है कुछ नहीं. What will be done to China will be. See, the Israelis also separated. They're like, were you directly responsible for this? No. Did you know this was going to happen? No. Did you supply weapons and shit like that? Yes, and that is dealt with in a different category. It's not dealt with assassinations and things like that.
That's very interesting. I want to talk about Pakistan before I get back to Bharat's, this thing, because we've kind of established this, and I want to the closing will be, how do we handle all this nonsense happening around us? Uh, Pakistan is buying J-31s, right?
Are
That's
they?
interesting. I don't know.
कहाँ
That's
से?
what the narrative
किसका
is.
पैसा?
Ev- Everybody's saying. I don't believe it. Firstly, the
Hmm.
PLA doesn't want it, तो वो पाकिस्तान को बेच देगा, चलो ठीक है, समझ में आता है. अब वो
हाँ.
कौन सा जनरेशन है वो पता नहीं मेरे को. वो बोलता है ना, कॉन्टेसा कार के अंदर, वो जैसे पंजाब में होता है ना, कॉन्टेसा कार के अंदर बोट का इंजन लगा
हाँ.
के मस्टैंग की तरह पेंट करके चलाता है. तो इज इट दैट,
Mm-hmm.
और
Boss, look, I don't think the Chinese. If you read Chinese literature, I want you guys to Google uh, Jaidev Ranade. He runs the Center for China Policy Studies. Okay.
yeah,
Now, if
very
you
regular on the platform.
right, and then you know the kind of primary. They're probably the only Indian organization that does primary Chinese research. They employ lots of Tibetans and first-class Chinese speakers who have gone and studied Chinese in Taiwan to actually read what the Chinese are saying themselves, not what other people are saying about them, and produce some fantastic material. The problem in India, of course, is it's unsexy stuff, so Indians don't want to go read those reports. But CCAS reports are fantastic reports. Everybody should
Yeah,
go read them. Anyway, so what happens is if you read that entire thing, you realize the Chinese don't even understand what the root of fifth gen is. They think shape stealth
yeah,
is fifth gen. Fifth gen is so much more than just shape stealth. Because you even look at the F-31 and the J-31 and the J-20 and all of that. Uh, they don't have the infrared suppression required. They don't have a lot of things for the massive bleed engines and things like that. They've still not made
yeah,
their engines efficient. So there's massive issues with them which they still do not get. And I think you've all seen the reports of what's been happening in China. There's massive purges going on right now because most of their technology advances turned out to be fake. They were literally concocting data on missiles. The missiles were pre-programmed to hit, and there was a transmitter waiting to be hit, which was transmitting for the missile to come hit it, so that it was, things like that. And they've been purged from a lot of positions. A lot of R&D positions have been purged.
yeah. Even the
So we
defense
realize,
manufacturers.
yeah. Now see,
Mm.
fifth gen fighters are a very complex sociological phenomenon. It requires an open society to make them. Not that America is going to remain an open society. Understand, America today is not the America it was 10, 20 years back that produced the F-22 and the F-35.
Hmm.
If if you think DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion is going to produce F-35s and F-22, पिछवाड़े में pineapple आपके. Uh, so it's just not going to happen. Now, tell me, in a society like China where you're shit scared of failure, where there is a massive, India's problem is that DRDO is hardly ever held accountable,
Hmm.
except the ballistic missile program, because that is monitored by the Prime Minister, which is why the rocket, ISRO, and the ballistic missile program are insanely successful, because that is the
Yeah.
right amount of accountability, as opposed to the other programs where there is zero accountability. And China, where there is hyper accountability, it's not just accountability, they have to produce a marketable product every 1.5 to 2 years. You can't do defense technology like that. It has to have a gestation of something like, 10, 12 years or something like that,
True.
which these people, I'm sorry, cold,
You're still not well.
which these people, hmm, which these people really cannot manage. So, it's two different management philosophies gone wrong. 5G is a whole, not 5G, fifth gen is a whole of society approach, right? This is why, it's cheaper to own a Mercedes or BMW in, say, in a first world country where the Mercedes or BMW mechanic is certified, is not a crook, is not selling you or putting second-hand parts in there. He has to keep going to training centers through the year for refresher courses. To the ones here who don't know how to repair your car properly, right? Which is why German cars will always give you problems.
Hmm.
And the Japanese know this very well, which is why they've tailored it to being a sort of low maintenance car kind of thing,
That's
right?
yeah.
So even 5 gen technology is a whole of society approach. It doesn't work in a Chinese economy, in a Chinese economic
Sweatshop.
reality.
Hmm. That's true. I mean, I wanted to basically get that out itself because there are. I don't know if you remember when Nancy Pelosi went to Taiwan, right? They
Yeah,
fired 11 cruise missiles, right? They were supposed to fall in that box and they fell in the Sea of Japan. And
yeah.
then the next time when the vice president went, no, who went? The Speaker of the House went now recently. They said, no, 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 we're not firing any cruise missiles this time. So that tells you that there's an issue in targeting and stuff like that there itself. The Baidu doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Uh, uh, how is it going to work? In a very simple way. Uh, and sometimes I feel for an Indian audience, you have to use hyperbole. This is like expecting, it's like going to the Andamans and expecting the Sentinel Islanders to produce uh, cruise ships,
A wheel.
even a wheel. They
That's
might
high
know a wheel,
technology.
we don't know. That's high
Yeah, we don't know.
technology. So, I'm exaggerating, of course. Uh,
Hmm. Okay, I guess his network hung up. Let's kind of just give it a minute. Not a worry. Guys, by the time, may I request everybody, please like the video. Everybody, please hit hard to the likes, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel if you've not. I'm sure he will just join back in a minute. It's frozen. Yeah, winter's here. That's why it's getting frozen. The lines get frozen. है ना? So like the video, guys, subscribe to the channel, and please, please, please spread the word about Dev Talks. And we're gonna ask now the next this thing question we will talk to him about is the factor that how is India going to handle this mess? Because there's a lot of yeah, he's giving Ashirwad. That's true. Uh, how is India going to handle all this mess which is around the place? Putin, USA, China, Pakistan, and of course, the other factors, which is Maldives, Bangladesh, and the small are regional issues as well. तो वो नेक्स्ट फेज आएगा, वी विल गो थ्रू। जाने से पहले मैं 1 मिनट के लिए आपको रोक लूं, तो प्लीज ये चैनल को लाइक जरूर करिएगा, सब्सक्राइब करिएगा, और हाँ, हमारे जो मेन चैनल को जरूर जरूर अपनी फॉलोशिप दीजिए, ताकि हम आपको अच्छे अच्छे पॉडकास्ट, इंपॉर्टेंट सब्जेक्ट्स एंड जियोपॉलिटिकल अपडेट से आपके सामने प्रेजेंट करते रहें इसी तरह से। थैंक यू सो मच। जय हिंद, जय भारत।